Welcome to the Aging Well podcast, where we explore the science, stories, and strategies behind living a longer, healthier, and more purposeful life. In this bonus episode, we celebrate National Donate Life Month. We share the incredible story of Ann Seidsinger, a woman who went from barely making it across her bedroom to climbing mountains, all thanks to a life-saving double lung transplant. Diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, Ann's future once looked uncertain, but after receiving new lungs from the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center's Comprehensive Transplant Center, she's breathing easier and living harder than ever. At age 69, Ann is in the best shape of her life, hiking, traveling, and chasing after her grandkids with joy and energy that defies expectations. Her story is one of courage, resilience, and the transformative power of modern medicine. And it might just inspire you to rethink what's possible at any age. And welcome to the Aging Well podcast. Let's just begin by having you tell us about your diagnosis with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis and how it began to really impact your daily life.
Okay. I was diagnosed in 2015. It was managed. I was on prednisone. That's the only way they really managed it. It became very difficult. As the disease progressed, I had to leave my job that I adored because I was too sick to work. So basically, it's a wicked disease. It's extremely difficult to live with pulmonary fibrosis. Many people keep it. They are fine with it for a while. I mean, their doctors are monitoring them, and it hasn't progressed as rapidly. And with me, getting pneumonia just threw me right off the cliff. So that's what really, my progression just went crazy. So, but I was continually being out of breath. Everything was hard. And when it got to be so bad that I was on oxygen 24/7, I just couldn't do much of anything at all. So it was very difficult.
So what was it like emotionally and physically to have to face the reality of needing a double lung transplant?
Well, I remember my pulmonary doctor, he had brought it up early on in the diagnosis. And I said, no, I don't know about that. I'm doing okay. But then, of course, as when I got pneumonia, and it wouldn't go away for like 2 months, and it was so bad I had to be put on oxygen and everything. And he said, how about having a lung transplant if I refer you? Do you want to go to Cleveland Clinic or Ohio State? And I said, well, Ohio State, it's nice and close. He goes, okay, because that's what we're going to do. I go, okay. I was really frustrated and getting sicker. Life was getting really difficult. So, and it just continued to get difficult. So I got on the list. Started the process, which is very long. It can be long, even though I moved really quickly and did everything I was told to do. As far as getting on the list, there's they check everything to make sure that you are healthy, that you have a good heart, that there is any sign of cancer. They give you every test imaginable and lots of blood work. And I went through all that. And it was hard because you had a whole oxygen everywhere you went. Always worried you were going to run out of oxygen. As soon as you got there, I would ask for a tank because I was so worried I was going to run out of oxygen wherever I was. So that part of it was it was hard going to all those appointments. But they said, some people they take forever with all their testing. The key is to get it done. And I did. Every appointment they set me, I said, I'm there. And I remember when I was referred to to OSU, I didn't get a call. And my son says, you have to call them. Just don't sit on it. You call them. I go, well, they have my information. So I called him. I said, I haven't heard from you. And they said, this is the first time we've ever had anybody call us to actually say that. Well, okay, no problem. We'll get right on that. So that's when they got me in touch with everybody and things moved along.
So for the listener that might not be as familiar, what is idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis?
Well, actually, it's the thickening and the the fibrosis, it's scarring. There's nothing you can do about scarring. And the more it scars, there's just no air coming in. As I said in my video, my chest didn't move because it was just stiff. You can't take a deep breath. You feel like you're drowning a lot of the time. Everything becomes an effort, every movement, because you can't get any air in your lungs. I was hooked up to a compressor with a real long cord that I could go all over the house. And a couple of times I stepped on it because I was moving wrong and I detached. Wasn't getting any oxygen. And I felt really weird, tingly and numb. And then I would go into a panic trying to follow the cord to find out where it came undone. So yeah, all of the air we breathe in every day, we just take it for granted that when you no longer can breathe, everything is an effort. Everything. Getting dressed, washing your face, feels like you're drowning, brushing your teeth, and taking a shower, even with the cord. I would put that in there. Even on oxygen, I had to be like on 10, volume 10 to shower. So everything was just, it's a grueling disease.
And idiopathic for the listeners means that there's no known cause. Right?
There's no known cause, but I will tell you, my father died of pulmonary fibrosis and he was 64. So they don't really, it can run in families. You hear about siblings getting it, cousins. And so I don't know for sure because they just ask me so many questions like, were you exposed to dust, asbestos? What kind of, just asking me all these questions. It was no, I couldn't think of anything. I was mad when I got this. It's like, are you kidding me? I was so active, would be a runner and exercised and was always, my lungs should be in great condition. How did this happen to me? So yeah, but they don't know for sure. Many cases, they just don't know.
And that's a challenge with trying to age well is sometimes there's that stuff that just creeps in there that you have absolutely no control over.
Exactly. I even said to my doctors, well, this really makes me mad. I said, I always taken good care of myself, always. And I get this. And I look at me, I'm trying to stay healthy and strong for the surgery. They go, no, it wasn't done in vain. You are good and healthy. That's why you're a good candidate to get on the list because you are so healthy. So all that was good because you didn't know this was going to happen to you. So it was all meant to, keep you healthy. And that was the hard part because you're told after going through rehab and everything, because you have to do all that and you graduate from that and they say, okay, continue it at home. You got to stay healthy for this surgery. And I got to the point where I tried. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was afraid I was going to fall. I would take my tank. It was a portable tank and it was heavy. And I would put it on a sling and I'd walk up and down my kitchen area, which was pretty big, and play music, anything to get motivated. And I had it on like 50 and it was just blowing that air in. And I would do that for so long. And I started tripping and not walking steady. And I said, I'm just done. I can't do it anymore. I might fall. So I said, I'll just have to wait. So I did. I just said, I'm done. Because the best for me was sitting totally still, just sitting as still as possible. And then I could breathe. But any movement, it was agony. So I said, I'm just going to lay on this couch and watch the people walk up and down the sidewalk. And I said, and read and listen to podcasts. And that's what I did because it was just too much of an effort. So I was definitely at the end stages of pulmonary fibrosis. And that was, I think the roughest month was the month of August. I had my surgery in September and I just remember that whole summer being so hard.
I can imagine. How long was the wait from the time you were diagnosed to getting a transplant?
I was so lucky. The wait was not that long for me. I got on the list September. That was funny. I was supposed to get on at the end of I was supposed to get on the end of August, but they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we have one more test for you. You have to get a colonoscopy." I go, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?" So yeah, I got this down here because it's always so I had a dry run. They call it a dry runs. So I got a call like 5 days later, and the lungs weren't viable. So I had to go home. So that didn't work out. So yeah, I got on the list on the 2nd, and I got a call September 11th.
Oh, wow. That's quick.
And went home on the 12th. They wheeled me in there, and I saw them over there looking at the lungs, and they put me out and everything. They were about ready to cut me, and that's when they realized that there was a blood clot in the lungs. So they wheeled me back, and when I remember coming out of the anesthesia, I thought, something's just not right here. And I don't think I had the surgery, because they talked all about many people have dry runs where the lungs just don't work out. I had heard stories where there was a gentleman that it was seven times it happened to him. And so they were so sorry. And I go, "Hey, it's fine. Now I know exactly what to expect when I get the call, and being wheeled into the operating room and seeing all the people there. And it's like a fine operation, let me tell you. There's so many people in there, and calling out everything they're going to do and who's who. So yeah, so then I got the call I got the call. It was on the 17th of September, but I always say the 18th because it was like sometime in the morning, early morning hours, because they call you and they keep putting the surgery back. And so yeah, I was and a lot of people say, "Weren't you just scared to death?" That when you're so sick, what's the alternative here? What am I going to do? I wanted him. I knew it was going to be a rough recovery because they don't sugarcoat anything, tell you everything that could go wrong. And yeah, so I think I remember coming out of surgery. Well, I remember waking up, and my biggest fear was being incubated. That was my biggest fear. And all I knew is I wanted to get that out as soon as possible. That was my biggest fear of the whole thing, even the surgery. It really was.
That's wild, because you're getting your lungs literally removed and then new lungs put it in, and you're just worried about a tube going down your nostrils.
I really was. I even told one of the screenings is you have to talk to a psychologist. And I told her that. I said, "I don't have any anxiety. I'm good, but I'm really worried about that." And she told me, just meditate, think about something pleasant, think about what's your favorite place. So I said, "I like the beach. I'm just going to picture the waves and the beach." And that's what I did. And I'm just going to calm. She goes, "Don't panic. Don't fight it. Because if you fight it, the longer they're going to keep that tube in there." So I got it out pretty fast, like really fast that day, afternoon, because I kept asking them, like, I couldn't talk, but I wanted it out. So once I got that out, I knew I was good to go.
That's good. So what was the recovery process like in those first few weeks and months after the surgery?
Well, you're so weak. So weak. I remember, I think it was Dr. Nunley. I said, "Well, I didn't expect to feel so weak." And they get you up the next day. You have to sit in a chair, and you're walking down that hall with all these tubes, because I had 7 chest tubes. And so they're walking with you. It's a team, and you're walking, and it's scary because you feel so weak and wobbly. And I told him, I said, "I just feel so weak." He goes, well, it's like you were run over by a semi truck. That's what it's like. He goes, "We got to go in there, and we're pulling and through all these nerves and muscles. So yeah, you're going to feel a little punky." So really weak, but you have to.
What motivated you? What motivated you not only to recover, but to thrive? I mean, I'm excited. We're going to talk more about kind of what you've been doing since the transplant.
That's the good part. It's hard. Yeah. It's really, dredging up all this before. Not that I don't want to forget about it, because even in my home, when I do all these things and I'm racing up and down the steps and I'm doing all these things, I have to think, remember, you couldn't do anything. Like, you couldn't do any of these things. I couldn't do any of them. And the good part is that there isn't anything I can't do now. So they tell you, you got to move when you get home from this surgery. You have to walk, you have to breathing exercises you have to do. There's all this medication you have to take. My daughter did all that for me. My brain was foggy. I felt like I couldn't think clearly about anything. So I had a big care team that took care of me, because you have 24/7, because you do need to have, and they will tell you, uh, you have to have a good support team, because, and I now I know, because I wasn't myself at all. I just wanted to be left alone. And nope, mom, sorry, you're walking. And they were the reverse roles of my children. I didn't want to eat, didn't have an appetite. They were forcing me to eat. That was horrible. Forcing me to walk. I didn't want to do it. I had to go to you have to go to a lot of doctor's appointments. And you have to, and you're weak and tired. It's hard and shaky. I was really shaky from the medication, adjusting to the medication. And they said that's totally normal. That's going to happen. So just shaking like a leaf and having to go to all these doctor's appointments. It was not an easy recovery, but they're so encouraging. It's going to get better. You're going to get stronger. And boy, did I ever. I had no idea. And too bad you can't just say, okay, I'm going to show you a picture. This is what you're going to be like. Just hang in there. And that's what I want to tell anyone that's going to go through this. It's all normal. Everything you're going to go through is normal. And you're going to come out the other end, because I met a lot of people that are doing very well. They're doing very well.
So what is that support team like at Ohio State Wexner Medical Center? I mean, who all was involved in your kind of preliminary care, post-care, and continued care?
They're just, wow, they're an amazing team. So, I got to see early on pre-transplant, they call it the pre-transplant nurse coordinators that you meet with. And then, of course, you meet with all the surgeons. There's many, and they pop in as well. And then post-transplant, that's a whole different team. And you don't really see the doctors as much. You do early on. So they're just, they tell you everything you need to do. It's time for you to get this appointment. You need to get vaccinated. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to, they do all the scheduling for you. And I just do as I'm told. And I was a good patient that way. I always listened and took my medication and did what I was told. They were amazing. They really were. There was some bumps that I had in the road with recovery. I mean, I was admitted in the hospital to get some fluid drained off my lung. I had too much potassium. They admitted me for that. They don't mess around with things. They always say call like after transplant, call us if you notice this or that. So I was in an emergency room a couple of times, but
so you're getting foreign tissue put into your body. What's the drug regimen, diet, other things that you have to go through in order to maintain that? Is it a continued? Are you still on drugs?
Oh yeah, I will always be for the rest of my life. I'm not on as many. They start to wean you off, saying, well, you don't need this anymore. You don't need that anymore. But I will always be on the anti-rejection medication, which that is 9 pills a day, 9 every day. There's one of them that they keep playing around with, but so that you have to take anti-rejection every day. And that is like, sometimes I feel like I don't feel like I had a lung transplant, and the only reminder sometimes is taking that medication and the scar. That's like my only reminder that I had a lung transplant. So, because you have to remember, you take them every 13 hours. So that's what you have to do. And when I'm busy and I'm with family or I'm on vacation, one of my grandkids will say, Mom, did you take your medication? Grandma, did you take your medication? Oh my God, what time is it? So yeah, that's for life. And prednisone, I'm on steroids, a very low dose. I will always have to be. And also 2 antibiotics because I have no immune.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
There are certain foods you cannot eat that are because of bacteria. No soft cheeses, no processed meat.
Which is good.
Yeah, which is really good. I haven't had a lunch, a sandwich of processed food in 3 years. So, I mean, I don't miss it. I'm fine with it. There's a licorice root. Now, that's something I can't have.
Really?
And it's in a
Wow.
lot of tea, which I like. I have to read labels for that because it'll interfere with the rejection medication.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything you really miss having had the transplant surgery?
That I miss,
Yeah. I mean, if
like,
you can't have like certain processed foods, I mean, I'm
oh,
sure you don't really
absolutely.
miss licorice root.
No. Well, it did. I really did like that, but that's okay. No, I don't miss any. Those are slight changes to make. Cause so I don't, I have one glass of wine once a month, a 6 ounce glass of wine with my girlfriends when we go out to dinner. And that's all. And I don't miss that either. So, I'm leading a very clean life.
Yeah. So you've talked about being in the best shape of your life at 69. What does your
Yeah.
current routine look like in terms of physical activity, wellness, your mindset? What are you doing to age well?
This is so strange. I don't know what it is. I told my kids, I feel like I'm going backwards. I feel better than I ever have. And how is that possible? I don't know. I'm very active and I move my body like I'm in my 40s. I can get up and down off the floor. I walk really fast. Um, I feel strong even though I'm really tiny. That's the thing that after before and then after transplant, I never gained my weight back. That's the frustrating part, but that's okay. I'm dealing with that. I go to my rec center 3 times a week to strength training. That's the big key. I love to ride my bike over there. Um, I just do a lot of walking and moving. And I just move really fast. I feel I'm going to try getting back into yoga because I really enjoyed that.
And of
So,
course, you got grandkids.
and I tell you, I can keep up with all of them. I can. And that's saying something. Whatever activity the family is doing, I can do. I go to New York City. That's where my son lives with my 3 grandchildren. I have 6 grandchildren total. I walk all over, up and down the subway steps, all over that city. That's not easy because I always tell people, I go, "Oh, I would love to go to New York," and I said, "Well, unless you're going to take an Uber everywhere, you better have some stamina. It's a lot." I even go
Yeah.
up and down those subway steps and I don't hang on to anything because they're so germy. So I'm working on my balance so I can walk up and down the steps without hanging on to anything.
I bet
So
you appreciate those subway smells more than most people do.
it doesn't bother me. It doesn't.
I got
I
these lungs. I can breathe this stuff. This is awesome.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? Speaking of breathing things in, for years, really, must have been, I think my lungs were bad from the beginning. Anytime any cigarette smoke, cigar smoke, if my neighbor was burning leaves, which you're not supposed to do, I suffered. Wheezing and suffered for weeks. And now people do that. It doesn't bother me at all.
Uh,
I actually had someone say, "Oh no, they're burning leaves over there. Are you going to be okay?" I go, "Yeah, I have new lungs. It doesn't bother me." So, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
so how has this experience changed your outlook on life and aging?
Totally. I feel like this experience has totally changed me. I don't let little things bother me anymore. I'm pretty calm. Well, of course I don't have any stress because I'm retired, so that helps. But you have a totally different perspective on life. You really appreciate every little thing. I don't complain about anything. There's a lot of things I didn't like before, and I was really ouchy about it. I can't think of anything I would complain about. You to go through, you'd have to go through, not that I would wish this on anyone, but when you are faced with, you might not make it. You're not going to be around. You might not make it. You don't know what's going to happen. You might not be around. So, and then when you are totally recovered and you're living your best life, it's hard to explain to anybody. Those are what I call some major endorphins. I think I said this to somebody too. They must think I'm a total nutcase. I go, "You know what? I always feel high all the time. I'm so happy. I just feel alive all the time and really light and happy and high." And they go, "Oh my gosh." I don't know. It truly changed how I think about life, and I have more empathy towards people. When people are out there and they're grouchy, and I think you don't know what they're going through. I was like that. When I was sick, I was a real grump. I really was. And you just don't know what people are going through and how they feel and what's going on in their lives. So you don't judge, just smile and be pleasant and happy. And because I was like that, I complained a lot because I was sick. I used to tell my daughter how rude I was in the store. She'd go, "Oh my gosh, Mom." I go, "I know. I was rude because I was just grumpy and just wanted to get out of there." And so when someone's like that, you just don't know how they're feeling. They probably don't feel good.
So were there any specific moments after your recovery, like hiking a certain trail or playing with the grandkids, where you felt like I really got my life back?
Well, yeah. So when I was I mentioned this in the video, I went out to the Dominican Republic and I went on this trail that it was like, I guess their idea of their trails versus the United States, as far as whether it was mild or just a crazy trail at all. I think they said it was, I forget the word that they used. It wasn't very going to be hard. And I looked at that and I go, are you kidding me? It was the boulder rocks, huge, straight up, nothing really to hang on to. You just had to climb, and it was hot. It was 90 degrees, and there was a lot of horse dung everywhere that you had to dodge. And my grandkids, they weren't complaining at all. They were just going away. And I thought, and when I got done with that, and we rode horses down because I was afraid it was to be too slippery. And that's when I knew, I go, I can't believe I did that. I did that. How is that possible? I did that. And I said to my son, do you believe I did that? He goes, yeah, I believe it. I go, really? He goes, yeah. So then I was out in Colorado and I did all that hiking at high altitude. And so I joked with my boys, like, I don't know which one's trying to kill me, you or him, taking me on these crazy hikes. But that's when I know, if I can do these, if I can hike high altitude and I can hike straight up on rocks, I think I got this now.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. So what do you want people, especially those facing serious illness, to know about resilience and hope?
I know it's hard. Well, I can only speak to what I went through, but I am talking to a few people that are hesitant about having a lung transplant because they're so afraid, and it is scary. Just you have to have hope and just think, well, no matter what obstacles I have to go through, that I'm going to come out okay on the other side. Be positive, think positively, talk to other people, have knowledge. I watched many a video for inspiration, and that helped me, listening to other people tell their stories and what they went through, and they came out on the other end okay. And I just remember watching people thinking, look at them, they're okay. And they went through a lot, and it's possible to go through all that and come out okay on the other end. It really is. Just have hope and talk to other people. Reach out. There's so many people there to help you with any questions you might have about, am I going to be okay? Or wonder if this goes wrong or that goes wrong. But just talk to other people. Listen to your doctors, and they'll tell you. And just read. I read a lot about everything that was going to happen to me. I read, and I think I watched every video from every hospital around the country to get detail on what might happen or what's going to happen. And really, when you look at the numbers, it's pretty good. The outcome is pretty good.
How about words of advice for people who are kind of looking at signing that organ donator line on their driver's license? And this is National Donating Life Month. And, want to encourage people to sign that line. What words do you have for them?
What can I say? I wouldn't be here. So many people wouldn't be here without donor donation. Things just from tissue to kidney to heart. It's amazing. I know all my kids certainly have, and all my friends, I talk about it all the time. It's so important. And then you just think that their families, how horrible for their family, but to think that their life lives on through precious gifts these precious gifts that they can give to other people, that they can live their lives. I would encourage anybody to be an organ donor. Absolutely. Just you think about all the people out there. I talked to so many wonderful people at the reunion, and they're all doing wonderfully. And they all, I think about my donor every single day. And I'm going to write again. And I don't know, I'll have to check with OSU. Maybe I can see if they'll at least let them know that there are videos out there about it. I did, and I would like to meet them. But they go through a lot. Yeah, I encourage anybody to be an organ donor. It's so, so very important.
Now, yours obviously wouldn't be a living donor, correct?
No. And that's the thing. Usually with a lung transplant, they're usually they're hooked up to machines, keeping them alive for whatever reason that was. And that's what usually happens. When you think about that short window that they have to find that donor to match that your tissue and your blood type, it's totally amazing. And how the doctor, like I know my doctor did, they go ahead on helicopters or wherever, and they check it out there too. They check it all out and come back. So it's just amazing when you think about it. I just think it's a miracle that they can actually do this.
Yeah, miracle was the word I was going to bring up. So.
It's a miracle. And I have to tell you, I had a lot of family and a lot of good friends. I was on many a prayer group, I must say. It was wonderful. So many people praying for my recovery, for my new lungs, and that meant so much to me.
So lastly, how do you define what it means to age well after you've gone through all of this?
Well, for me, my lungs have an expiration date on them. So I don't know how long I'm going to have them. So I'm going to take care of myself. I nutritionally and keep my body moving, and I want to stay as healthy as possible. It's so important. The older you get, then we realize, oh, well, gotta stay healthy and eat right. Don't stop moving, keep motivating, have friends, have a good social life. I just feel like I want to make sure that I have 10 years. That's my new goal, because the average is 7 years for lungs. So
I give you
I'm
20.
aiming for 10. I met some people with 10. So my motivation to live longer is, so for anyone, it's like, take care of yourself. You don't know what's down the road. And then you need to be strong and healthy to fight, to fight whatever you're going to fight, no matter whether it's cancer or something that happened to me or anything. You need to be healthy. Take care of yourself. So, so important. That's probably, I don't know. I have changed the way I eat. That's for sure. I eat very clean. Maybe that's why I feel
probably
so
good advice for all of us, even before any need for a transplant. Live that life like the tissues in your body, are on that expiration date, and just treat them well and take care of them.
Exactly. Everything has an expiration date, but these definitely do. And so everything seems extra hyper for me. I just, you sit there and you just look at your family at gatherings and just think, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful that I'm here and we're all here enjoying each other. Everything is just heightened, your awareness when you just almost not make it. I do remember thinking, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. And I wasn't really afraid about dying, as I was so worried about my children and how they were going to deal with it. I was going to be fine with it, but I worried about them. And whenever I brought that up, they go, "Oh, Mom, stop it. Don't talk like that." But, well, I want you to know I'm going to be fine, and you need to move on with your life, and don't worry about me. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be up there watching over you. So that was that.
This is one of those, podcasts that's really kind of tough to wrap up and end, because this has just been such a heartwarming story. I think, you have been so blessed to receive lungs and have this second opportunity at life. And what you were doing in this second opportunity just needs to be commended. I think it's awesome that you are, not only just living, you're thriving and you're being an example to others. And I thank you for coming on the podcast today to help us just kind of recognize National Donating Life Month and just encouraging others to donate, to get on that card. And hopefully, I hate to say hopefully we have that opportunity, but hopefully we're all healthy enough that when our time comes that our organs can go to many individuals. I think of that as, I think since I got my driver's license, I've been an organ donor. I haven't donated anything yet. I do have a friend that we actually had on the podcast, and I should give her a little bit of accolades in this being Donating Life Month. She's about my age. We worked together at Western Oregon University. She had always wanted to donate an organ, donate a kidney. And she just decided she was kind of in her later 50s at the time. And she's like, I might as well do it. I have 2 healthy kidneys. What's the point of me keeping both of these this late in life? And she, got a personal trainer, one of my former students, to work with her. And she got really healthy for the surgery, gave her kidney, and she's even stronger now. She's getting into powerlifting and doing all this kind of stuff. And a lot of us don't think of, I got these healthy organs, and there's a huge risk in doing that. And I applaud people that are willing to give up one of their organs, knowing that now they're down to just one. And if something happens to that organ, they are left to be on that recipient list. And so this is an important opportunity, I think, for this podcast to really promote the importance of organ donation and to, get people to recognize too that most people getting organs are not people that abuse their bodies. These are people like yourself who have an idiopathic disease that you had no control over and it suddenly hits you. And so don't feel like, well, why should I give my organ to somebody that didn't take care of their own? There are a lot of people that need those organs that are going to thrive and do wonderful things if they have the opportunity. So again, I just commend you on how you're living your life post donation and the fact that you have helped to kind of become the poster child for Ohio State's transplant programs, and just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep aging well. Thank you for listening. I hope you benefited from today's podcast. And until next time, keep aging well.